Hello and welcome to the show. So today's video actually started off from the surprising cars. We were looking at four-wheel drive cars and I claimed the Audi R8 was the best handling four-wheel drive car as Daniel has problems keeping his car in one place. Ignore me. Daniel reckoned the Porsche was. However, after a few minutes of driving, we both came to the conclusion the Audi is probably the better handling. However, Daniel reckoned he could still beat me with the Porsche. So we are going to have a race to find out.
That was a big claim that I made there.
Yes, it was a very bold claim. Now, both of these are four-wheel drive. They're both roughly the same PI. There's only 19 PI difference in it. They are both fairly low S-classes. And it should be fairly close.
Obviously, each car has certain things that are better than the other car, but it was a pretty damn close race. I was surprised. When I said it, I thought, oh, maybe that's a mistake saying that. But no, I stuck with it, and I mean, the first sector, we're pretty damn close.
Yeah, as you can see, we were pretty much just changing places through the first few corners. These two are surprisingly evenly matched up, and considering there is, what, 20 years difference?
Probably more than that, I think.
In between these cars being made. The Porsche is marginally faster in a straight line, as you completely outbraked yourself.
Ignore that.
Yeah, the Porsches are marginally faster in the straight line. However, the Audi is better on the brakes and slightly better through the corners. But it's not by a huge amount. As you can see, the Porsche is doing a good job kind of holding on to the lead. However, you can see how much better the Audi is under the brakes there. That was rather a late lunge. I wasn't completely intending that when I started
I was going for a bit of off-roading there, ignore that.
A little bit of rally cross, never mind.
Yeah, the brakes are definitely better on the Porsche. Sorry, on the Audi. Not the Porsche, no. Yeah, you can tell when you drive this car, especially when you drive it against next to the Audi, you can tell this car's a bit more, the technology and the brake suspension are a bit older, because it just it doesn't have the mechanical grip like the Audi does, and it just doesn't have the braking. Which was hurting it a bit, especially in the last sector. I did find that did hurt it quite a lot.
Yeah, but as you can see, as we come towards the end of the first lap, it's still very, very close. Now, we're doing a 3-lap race around the Hockenheim circuit, as you probably have guessed. As far as driver skill-wise goes, we are both fairly evenly matched.
Pretty much, yeah.
And neither of us are sort of specialists at this circuit. It's a fairly neutral circuit for the pair of us. So, driver skill-wise, there isn't a huge amount of difference. We both were pushing rather hard, as you can see. We ran a little bit wide.
Yeah.
We were trying as best we could with these cars, and this time it's my turn to have a look at the second corner. Can't quite get it done, but this is a very tricky overtaking spot around this section, because you can defend, but you end up getting a bad run onto the straight, which I can then capitalise on, and the Audi
and then sort of vice versa.
Yeah, just really about make up the position. Yeah, these cars are really very, very evenly matched. Which it was quite surprising. I thought this was going to be a little bit of a walkover for the Audi, and again you're going to try and outbrake me. Not normally a good idea, and you can get a nice cutback on you. There we go. Look at that. Yeah.
I did mess up on that corner again. I just couldn't keep up with the Audi, especially on the brakes and through this part of the track. You know, the medium to fast speed corners, the Porsche was fine, and it did. You know, it was pretty. As fast as the Audi. But it was just, now we're getting onto the last sector now. Like I said, I overtook again with a fairly optimistic lunge on the inside.
Yeah, it was a good thing I saw you coming.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I got past it, because you moved out of the way. I had a massive moment here.
There's a big slide.
I think these cars handle the same in the sense that you can still slide it, even though it's a four-wheel drive car. It's a very well balanced four-wheel drive car. Yeah. Which I really like.
To be fair on both these cars, they are both very good fun to drive. The Audi is a little bit better. To be honest, actually, I am quite liking this Audi now. I've grown to like it more over the last couple of weeks as I've been driving it more. It's a very, very good car. I can't help but think if it's rear-wheel drive, it would be even more fun. But it's
German.
It's a very good car. The Porsche is a little bit more twitchy, I think. The Audi is just that little bit more planted.
Yeah. Again, it's just because of the age of the car. I mean, I don't know how well Forza relay the actual driving physics. I presume they relay it as accurately as possible. But yeah, you can tell, like I said before, with the suspension and the brakes, you can tell that this car is more ancient, and it's just hasn't got because of the technology of the Audi. It helps it a lot, especially in the medium speed corners, because of all this clever stuff that I can't be bothered to explain.
Clever electronics do lots of work.
That's it.
The Porsche is still a pretty technically advanced car.
Yeah, at the time it was the most technologically advanced. I think it was like the first. Was it the first four-wheel drive car that had adaptive or like I don't know what it was. It had loads of stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, eventually you made a mistake coming into the hairpin, which is pretty much the Achilles heel of that Porsche.
Pretty much it. And
that
was the only corner it really struggled on.
It's just getting it stopped from. Both these cars, straight line speed wise, are very quick cars. As I said, they're supercars after all. And it's just getting the Porsche stopped is a lot more difficult than the Audi. And if you get your braking point a little bit wrong because the brakes aren't quite as good, you end up having a rather big off, which isn't quite as good.
Yeah, that was the downside. Like I said, the brakes aren't on the level of as competitiveness. And I went off there, and that was it. I pretty much knackered it.
Yeah, the end of the race, really. But yeah, it was amazingly close, and the Audi is going to take a win, but it wasn't as easy as I was expecting.
No, I mean,
and it's
at the end of the day,
impressive performance from the Porsche.
Yeah, I think the Porsche had done well. Like I said, I was thinking I made a very bold move there, saying that the Porsche should keep up with the Audi and win. Okay, it can't win, but it can definitely keep up. I mean, the lap time's already, what, about half a second, didn't it?
Yeah, the two of them are very evenly matched. Now, to come to a sort of a conclusion about these two cars, the Porsche will keep up with the Audi. If you are really pushing it, the Porsche will just about keep up with the Audi. The problem is, to keep the Porsche sort of right behind the Audi, you have to be absolutely on the limits with it all the time. And when you drive a car like that, there is inevitably going to be mistakes, as you saw. I mean, sure, you practice around the track more, you would be better, but then I would be better as well, and then you'd still have to fight. You have to be 110% the entire time, and that's when you make mistakes, and that's what's going to happen with the Porsche and the Audi. Both are very good cars. If I was to pick one, I would still rather have the Porsche because of its kind of history. As far as a race car goes, though, you would go for the Audi.
The Audi is much more. The Audi is more track focused, obviously. Well, it's not more track focused, but it's more. It can cope with the track better just because of it's more modern. But I would have the Porsche as well, just because of the history of it.
Yeah. So our second race. Now this is actually kind of the reason why we decided to do this video. Someone suggested that we should kind of do like an old versus new with the Lotus Carlton and the Vauxhall Insignia. I love the Carlton, and this sounded like an interesting matchup because both of these cars are within 1 PI of each other. So
that's not too bad for however many years apart.
They are. Again, this is probably another sort of 20 years apart. So this should be a very, very interesting matchup. The Lotus Carlton, as I'm sure many of you will have heard me going on about, it's a fantastic car. It was the fastest four-door saloon car for a number of years until the BMW M5. The Insignia is kind of the VXR department going mental on a Vauxhall saloon car, which is in effect what the Carlton was. It was Lotus going mental on a Vauxhall. So yes, it should be an interesting matchup between these two. Now, off the line, unsurprisingly, the Insignia
four-wheel
is the fastest.
drive.
Yes, this is thanks to its four-wheel drive. The Insignia gets a very good launch. However, you got I think 80 foot away before the Carlton started reeling you in.
The Carlton is insanely fast on the I never realised how because when we did I think the last time I actually raced with it was against.
It was against that Lotus 11 in the
something like that.
One of the challenges we did.
Yeah, and I thought okay, it was a fast car, but when you get in this. You know, compare it to the Lotus. I never thought how fast it would be, and it was insanely quick.
The Lotus is incredibly fast in a straight line. However, it doesn't have the handling. As you see,
the handling is its downfall.
I outbrake myself a little bit. You're then going to go wide. Luckily for me, you actually get it wrong on the exit. A little bit twitchy there.
I messed up there a little bit. Just ignore that.
Yeah, the Carlton is a bit of a handful through the corners. It's kind of slidey, the brakes aren't fantastic, it's a little bit unpredictable. However, as you can see, the minute it gets on the straight, it is so much faster. I end up ducking out of this move because you can't see a thing on that corner because of the sun. And I had no clue where I was braking. It was terrifying, so I kind of got scared and slowed down. It's a horrible first corner, this circuit, because the way the game decides to position the sun, you just can't see the corner at all. And when you're on the inside in a car you haven't really driven around here, it's a little bit scary. As you can see through the corners, I am really having a tough time keeping up with the Insignia. Yeah, the Insignia is actually a surprisingly good car. Having driven this one.
Yeah, I mean, I've driven. I haven't driven the Insignia that much. I drove it a couple of months ago for something I can't remember what it was, but I haven't driven it since then. I was looking forward to it, because obviously I did drive it and I remember driving it, and it's a really well handling four-wheel drive car. I mean, they've got it bang on with the balance on it. It's no understeer, no oversteer. That's a really good handling car. Better than the Carlton. When you get on a straight, the weight of the VXR does, you know, hinder it a bit.
Yeah, as you can see through the corners, I can't, even with Daniel making a mistake into the chicane, I can't do anything about it because there is just so much better handling of that thing. However, this time you make a mistake into the first corner, and I don't need another invitation to to jump into the lead. Now I have to defend like mad, and as we come on to, this is a lap later, not much had changed. You may have taken a bit of a shortcut. That was naughty.
Yes, ignore
You're
that.
going to get an unsportsmanlike behaviour flag. I think you get them in racing. I can't remember what colour they are. Anyway, yes, as you can see, through the corners, I just cannot do anything about that that insignia. It's right behind me. The sort of the long, fast corners aren't particularly good for the Carlton, as it just doesn't have the levels of grip. It slides all over the place. However, it's now kind of a straight towards the final corner. Try not to mess up the braking point for this one. Kind of got to defend while not compromising my line too much. And out of the final corner, there's going to be better drive from the Insignia, of course, because it's four-wheel drive, but it's not long before the power of the Carlton kicks in, and you can't really do much about it around this final corner.
You can't.
It's flat out for the pair of them, and the Carlton takes the win by a tiniest of margins. Now this
was a tiny little margin.
Yeah, it was really very, very small, that one. Now this is going to be a demonstration of just how fast the Carlton is. So this was a test we did before we filmed that. We're going to use Road Atlanta long. However, the Carlton has a rather big advantage here. As you come onto the straight, I think there's about 200-foot lead you had over me.
About that, yeah.
For this purpose. I think I had a spin and I'd fallen behind you. Now just watch. Watch for the Carlton as it appears. Wait for it. There it is. Look at it go. How fast it is.
I am flat out. I am flat out here, and I am, you know, redlining the car as fast as possible, and it just drives past.
Yeah, there is absolutely nothing you see. That's from a 200-foot back. If I was level pegging, it's just gone. In the end, you kind of bumped me off the road. Another unsportsmanlike flag.
Ignore that. That was not.
So yeah, the Carlton really is a phenomenally fast car in a straight line.
Hasn't it got the same torque as an Audi or something? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wrote down some statistics on the Carlton. It has 2 more torques than the V10 Audi R8 that we had a minute ago. It's a ridiculous car. That's why I love it. It's a fantastic car. Out of these two, as far as comparing them goes, well, which one you would use would depend largely on the track. If it is a small, twisty circuit, you would be better off with the Insignia because it's just a better handling car. Admittedly, four-wheel drive, not perfect, but it's better handling than the Carlton. If it's got a lot of straights, like Road Atlanta Long does, for example, you would go for the Carlton.
Use the Carlton.
Yeah, it's so much faster. It's incredibly quick. You don't really realise how fast it is until you race it against something like that. It's so fast.
No.
As far as a car to own, it has to be
I'd have the Carlton.
There's
no questions asked.
No question with them ones. In fact, the Carlton's in fantastic good value for money as well. It's only like 19,000 credits on Forza, which is well worth the money, I would say.
It's a bloody good car for the money. I mean, okay, the Vauxhall, I think, because like some cars you can have, it may not be the quickest on the straight, but you can make up that time in the corners. This, very good in the corners. Don't get me wrong, for a four-wheel drive car, it's probably one of the best four-wheel drive cars I've ever driven. But you can't get enough gap in the corners for this until you get on the straight, and you just get absolutely munched by the. It's one of them cars. It's good, but it just needs that little bit more power, and then it may have been, may have just beaten it. But
well, there we go. That is it for this episode. So, in the old versus new battle, it is a 1-1. The Audi.
It is, yes.
Audi beat the Porsche, but the Carlton beats the Insignia. If you like this video, then please do leave a like and a comment, and maybe we'll do some more of these old versus new rivalries. There is many we could have a look at. Of course, leave your suggestions as well for rivalry you'd like to see us do. But make sure the cars are kind of fairly evenly balanced. There's no point doing an old Le Mans car against a new Le Mans car. There's a fairly obvious which one's going to win out of that. However, that is it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. And until next time, goodbye.
Bye.